What's up YouTube, and welcome to another week of Fantasy Success. As per usual, we're here to help those who get no sleep freaking out about their FPL team, to have more informed insomnia. But before I start, I feel like I should address a few issues from last week. Firstly, I'd like to recommend you all wait until the end of each week to make transfers. People often freak out the day after games because their players either bombed or other players exploded and they want to make transfers ASAP. While this does increase team value due to selling before a price drop or buying before prices are risen, man, that was dry. The issue is you then risk your players getting injured or pissing off their managers, which is a potentially fatal problem during a busy Christmas period. Basketball gets March Madness, we get Christmas chaos. You might feel more powerful getting your transfers done quickly, but at the end of the day, precision beats power, and Tame beats speed. Sometimes I think I can't feel my face, but that's probably better than the condition Jose's face was in on Sunday. Second, I overestimated Sam Allardyce's intelligence and I should have known better. Given an injury to German Defoe afflicted Sunderland against Arsenal, Sam Allardyce switched from his winning bus depot formation of 5-2-1-0-2, which had conceded 0 goals and given 2 wins in 2 games, to an untested wide 5-2-2-0-1 formation. As Sunderland proved against Arsenal, the 5-2-2-0-1 formation doesn't work, conceding 3 goals and only scoring 1 themselves. But like an art student who just failed their first exam, Allardyce drank a smidgen of cider before the game, then let it happen again, sticking with the choice that would leave him without any job prospects for the foreseeable future. Unless he returns to the play that first made him great, you can call them Amazon, because they'll be shipping goals en masse. Third, last week I told you to sit Riyad Mahrez against Chelsea because Azpilicueta was in damn good form, making things difficult for right wingers. But our man from the Tropic of Cancer just had to show he's the king Kunta FPL, and proceeded to make Caesar salad of the left back, begging the question, is the Algerian truly fixture-proof? And if he is, then who else is? The answer is these guys. With that said, he may res up on all the point scoring soon, as I don't take too kindly to being proven wrong and have done everything in my power to curse him. And if he could make James Harden and Russell Westbrook start slowly, who's to say Lil B can't stop the Leicester City winger from performing? I serve the base god, what can I say? Right, on to this week's starts and sits. For those of you thinking, surely he isn't going to talk about Harry Kane again, you'd be right. Here's a moderate fixture this week, I don't overly trust it or distrust him this time round, but he'll come right eventually. Our first start is Jamie Vardy. In what is truly an awful week of fixtures, we can at least find some solace in a proven striker taking on a defence that are far from exceptional where they're from. Everton are conceding 1.5 goals per home game, and even on the basis of underlying stats, Vardy is performing exceptionally, with an expected 0.78 goals and 0.18 assists per game. You can feel safe captaining him this time round, because I know there's going to be good times. Next is Romelu Lukaku. Like 11 out of 20 of the other teams in the Premier League, Everton's opponents Leicester City give up the most points to strikers, with an average of 2.94 points given up per game. The reality is that Leicester will be doing all they can to specifically shut out Lukaku so he doesn't break the record Jamie Vardy broke like 2 weeks ago. But as sure as glue is sticky, drama will unfold after another Everton player scores and they're forced to split their focus. This is unlikely to be a huge performance from Lukaku, but it should be a reliable one for him and all the Everton attackers, as like a Roman Lou, everyone will be able to get their shit done at once. Leicester have been alright defensively this season, which is to say they've only been stopping right wingers and not left wingers. For this reason, it might also be worth considering Everton left winger Aruna Kone. Next is the Stoke City defense. As per every week, there is no reason not to get in on this defense because they still haven't conceded with their first choice centre-back pairing. At this stage, against this defense, even an informed Real Madrid would look like Depreston team in the championship. Given Palace are only scoring 1.29 goals per game, all of Stoke's defenders should be getting a piece of the pie this week. There is a possibility Mark Hughes sees his Hotline Bling, or cellular device, or whatever you want to call it. He'll probably get a call in January inquiring about Shawcross, but why would you leave for Real Madrid when you're already playing at Barcelona? Next is Olivier Giroud. Where are you now that I need you? Will be the thoughts running through Joe Hart's head on Monday, as Vincent Kompany is set to miss the match against Arsenal. As I've told you over and over, Manchester City are yet to keep a clean sheet without Kompany, with 16 goals conceded in 8 games. Moreover, they're weakest against strikers, conceding over 1.0 more attacking points to them than any other position per game. Factor in the fact that Giroud is now on penalties, and his chances created and shot totals have brought him to a semi-elite 3.56 expected points per game, and there is no reason why you shouldn't play him this week. To captain him would be a bold move nobody else would be making, particularly if Kompany does end up playing. But the blacker the berry, the sweeter Giroud. Next is the balls deep picks. West Ham have actually created a few sparks, despite a distinct lack of Payet and Lanzini, with 10 shots on target in their last 2 games, 2 of which came against Man United at Old Trafford. Initially, I thought Miguel Antonio was the one creating all the chances here, but then I looked at the stats. Mauro Zarate somehow made it into the pretty reasonable players bracket of our players who can be expected to score 2.5 to 2.99 points per game, alongside Mesut Ozil and Aaron Ramsey. The reason for this is his goal threat. Alongside an expected assists of 0.28, he has expected goals of 0.44 per game. Considering Swansea are conceding 1.5 goals per game, the sum will come out tomorrow. At 5'9", he teaches us to appreciate all the small things, so this weekend I'll be watching, waiting, commiserating. Next is De Bruyne. This might not seem like a balls deep pick, if you're a gosh darn casual. Arsenal's defense have only conceded 1 goal per game without Coughlin in the Premier League, but that was against West Brom, Norwich, Sunderland, and Aston Villa. In the Premier League scoring charts, these teams rank 17th, 12th, 16th, and last respectively. I'm not saying Arsenal's defense is total bad without Coughlin, far from it, but it certainly isn't elite. More importantly, De Bruyne only played 23 points in the 2-1 win over Swansea. Aguero is back this week, but unless Pellegrini is some managerial or statistical genius, I doubt he's figured out that De Bruyne is only capable of generating goals and assists when Aguero is there. If De Bruyne plays, his underlying stats should lift me up the rankings alongside everyone else who plays him, but that's a big if. Next is Alexander Mitrovic. Amazingly, Newcastle are projected to score the most points this week as Jolyon Lescott travels north to get Mitrovic to say hello to his little friend, the goal. It makes sense when you consider St James's Park's reputation as one of football's loud places, and the fact they're playing Aston Villa, although since them changes to their entire backline, Villa haven't been abysmal, despite their 3.25 points per game given up to strikers being 4th highest in the league. Mitrovic also has the 2nd highest underlying stats of anyone at Newcastle with 1.64 expected points per game, and it's hard to see him failing to start after his goal and assist against Tottenham last week. I don't really love him as an FPL prospect, but if there was a week to play him, it's this one. Next is Diego Costa. Giroud and Ighalo proved that Sunderland's wide 5-2-2-0-1 is weak to strikers, and as the only player projected to score more than 1.5 points in goals and assists per week who won't intentionally sub himself, Costa is your best option against a horrendous formation. Don't get me wrong, like Flesh Without Blood, Costa's golden boots hopes are not alive, but this is a game you can fairly comfortably stream him in. Of course, there is the risk that Allardyce brings back the formidable 5-2-1-0-2, and Sunderland's rhythm changes, or that Costa doesn't play a full game, but you know yourself that if your balls are big enough, you'll flex your virtual muscles and play him anyway. Next is Maim Biram Diouf. He's unlikely to be starting just yet, but given how good his underlying stats are and just how bad his team are offensively, his time is going to come. Diouf was one of the 3 players to make the good-ass players list, those whose underlying stats suggest they can expect 3 to 3.49 points in goals and assists per game. The other players in that list? None other than the Korean Messi, Son Heung-min, and Romelu Lukaku. What really struck me about Diouf was his 15 shots inside the box with 93% shot accuracy in only 613 minutes. Don't buy Diouf until he's back on the field, but he's worth monitoring because of his potential to kill or maim opposing defenses. Moving on to our sits. If you were thinking, man, he got that pick wrong last week, there's no way this guy's telling me to sit Ighalo this week. Think again. I see you constantly hating, but if you want picks that are pedestrian at best, you're in the wrong place. Liverpool's defensive record when leaving the city has been solid, with only 1 goal conceded per game under Klopp. 1.69 points given up to strikers is 5th lowest in the league, and perhaps more importantly, Watford are only scoring 0.75 goals per game at home. With an expected points per game of 3.53, he's a sub-elite player, so I feel you if you don't want to bench him, but Jolyon Ighalo should definitely not be considered for captaincy this week. Next is Jordan Henderson. He might seem like your Sunday candy against Watford this week, but like Trojan Ighalo, it's a trap! Queen. They can't all be zingers. Henderson takes on a Watford side who have conceded 0.75 goals per game at home. His underlying stats include a whopping 6 shots and 3 chances created, so he has an expected points per game of 0.96, which is less than only 83 other players. If he could rewind to when he was a winger feeding Suarez and Sturridge in 2012-2013, then sure, he'd be a fantasy asset, but as is, he's most certainly not. Next is Yannick Bolasie. Bolasie has picked up a new wave of ownership lately, and justifiably so due to Alan Pardew moving him to striker. However, he comes up against the toughest defense in the game who aren't conceding goals to anybody, at all. At this stage, I wouldn't play any offensive player against the Stoke City defense, even our man Balassi. Next is the Aaron Ramsey. Ramsey broke a Premier League record against Villa last weekend by running the longest distance in a football game and proving once and for all that he has the most energy out of any football player. Well done, Aaron. I'm sure shelving all those coffee beans before the game was worth it. I know you're no longer listening to me because you're thinking, I wish Aaron Ramsey would run away with me and be my sugar daddy. Bish better have my money. But to snap you out of this bizarre world where you and your crush are literally running all day, Manchester City have given up 0 attacking points to central midfielders this season. 0. Nada. With his model-like features, he's pretty pimpin', and with 2.84 expected points per game, there are many times where playing Ramsey will pay off, but not this week. Right, that's us for this week. I hope you enjoyed this and Pitchfork's 50 top tracks of the year. Like, subscribe, show it to your friends if you didn't like it. Oh well, we tried. See you around.